Hello. It is session one, our lesson one of the Business Breakthrough series. I'll be your host, Izzy Nally. Thanks for joining me today. Whether you're watching live or watching the replay, say hello. And if you're watching the replay, just pretend like you're watching it live. So I'm making this for you all too. So just participate as if you were attending live. This series is going to be 15, right? 15 webinars that are going to be fairly weekly for you to help you break through any blocks that are preventing you to go to the next level within your business. Now, who is this for? You might not be a full business owner. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're thinking about starting a business and there's some blocks. Maybe you've started, but you haven't launched. And maybe you have launched, but you are struggling with really taking it to the next level. So that's what this series is for. And of course, for lesson one, we really need to start with that foundation, which is mindset. And today there are going to be affirmations. There is going to be practical tips, and we will also have an activity. So I am going to guarantee that you will probably need a journal, most likely, especially so that you can write some of these down. Now, if you're not a journal person, maybe you can take some screenshots and you can save these to go back and look at. Whatever way that you take notes for yourself, make sure that you do spend some time with it. Now, anytime we are looking at a mindset transformation, there are multiple layers in which we do that. The first layer is just hearing it, just absorbing it. And if it is your first or second time hearing some of the things that we're going to discuss today, then you might just need to digest it. And that's okay. Now, if you've heard this and you're like, yeah, Izzy, I already know these things. There's a difference between knowing and doing and implementing. So you might have heard these things before and you know them, but now you need to implement them. So I'm going to give you some strategies and tips as we go through and how to actually implement these. Now, if you have known it, you've implemented it, and you are still struggling, I will also tell you about how hypnotherapy at the end can help with this process and what that looks like too. But I will save the sales pitch till the very, very end. And it's not really a sales pitch. It's more to empower you to know what's available. All right, let's dive in. So today's lesson is the mindset makeover. And as we make over our mindset, we're doing this particularly to unlock our business potential, or the way I like to say it is money making potential, because when you own a business, your business must make money. Otherwise, it is just an expensive hobby. Yeah. Okay. So my motto is calm the chaos so that we can make more money. Calm the chaos so we can make more money. Generally, if there is some type of chaos in our mind or some unstableness or misalignment in some way, that is what is preventing us from having a successful business, from having the life that is aligned in the way that we want it. So if you are, well, let me start with this. As a therapist, anytime someone is unhappy, it normally comes down to they are not walking their talk, or rather, they are not living their values. And if we don't know what our values are, that is super important. If you need to know more and need to do more work on your values and what's really, truly important to yourself, please put a V in the chat, because I have someone that is amazing at that I can send you to or send them to you. All right. But if we are out of alignment, and I really need to say this because I've been hearing this so much lately, people talking about low vibe and high vibe. And sometimes I will even say that just because that's something that most of us understand. However, it does not matter if it is low vibe or high vibe. In fact, there are more grounded energies, more earth energies that are what I would consider of these lower vibrations that are beautiful for us when we need them. And there are high vibrations that can be disorienting and disconnected because we're too much in our head. So the high vibe and the low vibe thought, process of like, that's what we need is actually BS. Because high vibe is in your higher chakras. Low vibe is in your lower chakras. The problem that happens is when we are out of alignment, when we've got frequencies going this way, and they are not together, they are not coherent. So the problem is the chaos and the misalignment. And when we bring them in, we can fully be in whichever vibration that we need to tune in at the moment. And I think one of the things that has come about of this low vibe, high vibe is because we think of this depressed energy and it's a heavy energy. And there is heavy energy, dense energy versus lighter energy, but that does not pertain to the high vibe and low vibe. All right. So I just needed to say that because I have been seeing so many ads on YouTube and on Facebook that someone's coming on and they're like, oh, you need to raise your vibes. BS. Okay. That is not what it is. So it is really coming into harmony, into alignment. So we can go into that at another time if you want to learn more about that. All right. So let's dive into what we'll be talking about today. So I just want to throw this out as we get started that first year, 20% of the businesses are going to fall off. And I can tell you exactly why. It is lack of clarity. It is lack of clarity in creating a game plan. A lot of times people start a business, they have a brilliant business idea, it feels good, it feels motivating, and they start it, but they don't have a business plan. And when I say business plan, I do not mean the 40-page document business plan. There are 1-page business plans, which are fantastic. And I typically use those for the yearly plan. But the overall business plan is you need to completely understand what it is you're selling and who it is for. And I don't mean your niche. You could have several niches and then you choose one that you're going to focus on or however you're going to do that strategy. But there should be a growth plan in process too, meaning this is what we're going to do our first year and this is how we want to expand and this is our 5-year plan. And it can pivot and adapt, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about today with our growth mindset as well. But please know that clarity is the number one thing that will either take you into that 80% or have you falling off with that 20%. And what I see a lot is even going into the second and third year, people are just struggling and they are just surviving by, and that clarity is still what they are lacking. If you need a clarity call, put a C in the chat and we will get that scheduled for you. All right. Oh, I have clicked on another screen. Bear with me. This is the beauty of being live. All right. So this is what we are going to cover today. So today we're going to start with these limiting beliefs. And as I just said, we are going to do some affirmations and really give you some clear visuals of what these limiting beliefs are and how we can shift them. We are going to talk about growth mindset, and I'm going to go into the downside of what our society pushes growth mindset at us and what it really is. We are going to have that activity that I promised where you can get your journal out and I really recommend to actually journal it out or type it out so that it is there. If you haven't heard my other talks, humans have amnesia. So we have our positive mindset amnesia until we really ingrain it into us. So we write it down, we think about it, we really feel it in the moment and we think that we're going to remember it. And we don't. I see this a lot with businesses where we create this full vision and then 3 months later we completely feel lost. And if we didn't have that written down, and I've even done it myself, where I went back and read it and I was like, did I write that? I don't even remember writing that. This is really good. Did I really write this? So allow yourself to have that as an anchor to continuously come back to, because it is something new. It's a new thought pattern. And anytime we are bringing in something new, We need to continue to reinforce that new behavior or that new learning. And then I'll give you some activities for continued learning and things to continue to keep in mind to implement as well. All right. So here are some of these beautiful, no, not so beautiful, these not so beautiful talks. They're words that are entering in our mind. When we start say these things or feel these things, and it might not even feel like the words are going through your mind, but it's the feeling. And this is where it might be that heavy energy, or it might be this like it's scattered, it's pulling you apart, it's creating you from being empowered. It's deconstructing you and the beauty of you. So we're going to go through each one of these. So the I'm not good enough. We want to change this into, and anytime that you feel this thought or you hear this thought in your mind, even if it's someone saying it to you, generally what happens though is someone says it to us once, and then we are the ones that continue to repeat it over and over in our mind. And a beautiful analogy or example of this is when we're driving. And I know we've all experienced this when we go on autopilot, and before we know it, we're at the end of the street and we don't remember, or we get to our location and we don't remember. And what is happening is we are going into thought. And then if I was to ask you, like, what were you thinking during that? You're gonna be like, I have no idea. I have no idea what I was thinking. I don't even know where I was at. What just happened? Again, amnesia. And the problem with that is like we are not aware of the thoughts that are even going through our mind. This is why it is so important. I highly recommend people to go through MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. You don't have to go through it with me, but I do teach this and I'll add all of my wisdom and experience in. But it is the bare basics of learning to hear and catch your thoughts and redirect them. This is the same thing that the Yoga Sutras go through as well. So we have to first practice being able to catch the thought. But this can also be used if you are just suddenly lost and you're like, I just don't feel good. I just don't feel like I can. I don't feel like I'm good enough. Then start to tell yourself these words. I am capable and worthy of achieving my goals. And don't just say it once. Put it on repeat, make it a mantra, and you can even start to sing it to yourself. So I do this all the time. I'm notorious for like while I'm putting my makeup on or I'm in the shower, I catch this negative thought. Or even if I'm just not feeling in alignment, I will just start singing, I am capable and worthy of achieving my goals. I am capable and worthy of achieving my goals. I'm capable and worthy of achieving my goals. And I'll like be in the kitchen and I'm cooking and I'm doing these things and I'm just repeating this in my mind. If you can say it out loud, it's even better. But allow yourself to give these positive words to reprogram your mind, because your mind, you are not your mind. Your mind is a tool. You are the energy, and it even shows in the heart coherence, where most of our energy is radiating out. If we were to measure our energy levels, yes, this is a real thing. There's real science behind it. It's not woo anymore. That most of our energy is being radiated from the heart. This is where we are. This is where we are functioning. In fact, the heart is sending signals up to the mind 9 times more than the brain is sending it down to the body and the nervous system. So we have to say it in our mind so that we can feel it in our heart, so that we can feel it in our heart and send it back up to the mind. So the mind can radiate it down to our nervous system, so that can radiate into our cellular circulation within our body as well. This is real science proven stuff. It's just not what has been taught for the past few years, but it is really truly proven now. So please know that this really works. So if I think that I don't have what it takes, I'm going to tell myself I have unique strengths and resources to succeed. If I am feeling that success is for others and it's not for me, success is possible for me. I define my own success. If you feel like you have to be perfect to be successful, no. No, you do not need to be perfect. I am not perfect. I might be at a higher stage than other people because I used to be there and I have walked myself up the steps. So now I can teach those who are at the levels below me and help guide them up, offering my hand. So we say progress, not perfection. Practice makes progress. Practice makes progress. So progress is what leads to success. It's this ability to not give up. And it's also the ability to know when to leave, because sometimes we're in something and we're trying and we're trying and trying, and we don't recognize when it's time to stop. And that's where there's a difference between passive and active resignation. We can go into that another time as well. Failure is bad. Failure is not bad. Everyone fails, just like a baby, right? I have my little Willow who's 2, and she had to keep trying and trying and trying of walking and practicing and falling. And even, she's still fairly new at walking and she still runs into a lot of walls. And she still like trips and loses her balance. And does she think, oh, I'm bad? No, because again, we learn all of this as we are little, as we are young. Every little thing. And I even had this awareness because as a hypnotherapist, I'm so aware of subconscious beliefs and how they are formed now that, and after going through so many clients and seeing and hearing the experiences that they had that really their child mind locked onto and have really grasped onto, and it's not letting go, and how we work through the mind to get to let go of that. But even Willow, when Daddy picks her up from school, she does not ask for a snack. And I even tested this out because every time I'd pick her up, as soon as she'd get in the car, just instinctively, she's reaching towards the floor where the snack bag is. And she's like, I need it now. And she starts crying if I don't get it to her fast enough. And I had asked my husband, I was like, does she do this with you? And he was like, no. I went to pick her up in his vehicle and was to see if there was a latch between the vehicles. And she got in that vehicle and she paused. She got really confused. She didn't even want to get into the car because she was like, this is not the car that mommy picks me up in that has snacks. She was getting really upset. And I got her in and I handed her a snack and then she calmed down. And so she had already started to make associations between which vehicles got snacks and when she was expecting a snack. Whether she's thinking about it or not, the expectation is there. And so these same things are happening if we have tried something in business at one point and someone made a comment, or we saw someone else fail in business, or if we saw or heard our parents saying, these business owners are so stingy, or, they don't have to do this, and they've made you believe. And I don't like to really use that. They made you believe, but they programmed you to believe, because we have the choice to unlearn that. Now let's go through a few more. So, I hear this one a lot. Like, oh, they think I'm too old for this, or they think I'm too young for this. I was in college and I would see so many people coming back to college to start a career over. And I was always so amazed by that. And it was so beautiful. But other people might have learned something else that, I need to pick something and I need to stick with it my entire life. No. And in fact, if we have a growth mindset, we will truly believe this and embody this. It's never too late to start or achieve my goals. I deserve success and happiness as much as anyone. Making mistakes is part of growing and improving. Change is an opportunity for growth and new experiences. As we continue, we've got just a few more here. So, success comes from combining hard work with smart strategies and relationships. So if you haven't seen Authentic Networking, please go watch that series. Intelligence grows through learning and experiencing it. My worth comes from my own beliefs about myself and my values. There are many paths to success, and I am open to exploring different ways to achieve my goals. So these are working kind of as remedies, as troubleshooting, as, I'm feeling this, I'm going to use this. Now, as you're looking at all these and going, well, Izzy, I could use all of these, then you can. You can have all of these and you could go through a morning, evening, midday exercise, and you could just repeat these all to yourself. But what I would really recommend to do is to take maybe one slide and just those, so those 3 to 4, and stick with those for 1 to 2 weeks and allow yourself to really latch on to those. And then the next 2 weeks, use the next, and then come back and just keep reusing them so that you can program all of this into your mind. Or you could choose the ones that you want your mind to latch on to. And so I ask you, of these, which ones do you feel that you have really experienced? And I ask you not to call you out, not to make you feel embarrassed, not to make you feel less than, but because as we show up as our perfectly imperfect self, as our authentic self, we give other people permission to be perfectly imperfect as well. And so many of these, I mean, almost every single one of them, I have had to work through. I came out of a very limiting, unhealthy relationship. It was not good for me. And when I was in that relationship, I was really, truly made to feel, or I allowed myself to feel, I'm owning this, I allowed myself to feel less than. And I was in this environment where it was constantly heaviness put on me, where I was being told things that really made me feel that I wasn't good enough, that I would never be good enough, that I was damaged goods, that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't capable enough. And even when I started my very first business, my yoga business and self-development business, and I started teaching yoga in the front room, and I knew that it was going to take a little bit for it to get momentum going. And I would host these classes and sometimes no one would show up, and I would just keep doing it and keep doing it. And I would keep pivoting and I would keep exploring, how can I get people there? And even if one person showed up, I would teach that one person with all my might. And I remember my ex at the time, he came to me and he was like, "What are you doing? This seems like a waste of time. Why do you keep doing this when no one's showing up or only one person shows up? Do you ever think this is really going to work?" And he would just down. And I got mad and I was frustrated, and I was really coming into myself, using my business as my self-development. And I was like, you know what? I don't appreciate that. What I need from you is your support. I need you to tell me like, hey, keep at it, or ask me some questions that are going to help me like think and problem solve, but don't tell me no. Don't tell me I can't do this. And in that process, I like really started reading a lot of mindset shifts and self-development and money mindsets books. And I really started to own my own power and really understand how like my thoughts were actually positive and I was moving in a good direction. And I was giving him the opportunity to rise, to support me, the opportunity for us to develop healthy communication. But I realized after a time it wasn't there. And I wanted respect, and I was going to demand respect. And if I did not get respect, then it wasn't a healthy environment for me. It wasn't conducive for me to grow. And that was my decision. But the decision and how I made that was out of a space of love versus fear. Because if you see all of these quotes that are up, it's negative, it's fear versus it's love. So we have this quote of, I can't be my true self and be successful. That's a fear-based quote versus being authentic and true to myself is key to my strength and my success. That is a love-based quote. And so I sat with this really heavy decision of leaving or staying. And I had little kids and it was really hard. And I sat with it and I said, okay, if I stay, is that out of fear or love? If I leave, is that out of fear and love? And fear and love for myself, for everyone involved. And ultimately, when I sat and I felt that staying was out of fear and that leaving was out of love. And every time something hard came up after I left, because, trust me, it was hard. And it was not pretty either. But I was so sure of my decision because I knew that I made it out of love. And that's what I invite for you all, is to any time you're experiencing something, to really truly understand, is if it's not love, it's fear. So weighing these and feeling into that, and knowing what fear feels like in your body versus what love feels like in your body. And I do really deeply teach this within my Amplified Abundance course that I have, where it's all about like manifesting and really healing in order to manifest, because so many of us are trying to manifest from a space of hurt and pain. All right. Now let's dive into growth mindset. So a lot of those quotes that we just went through, those affirmations, are so important and conducive for shifting into growth mindset. But I think it's really important that we address growth mindset, because just like anything, right? Like too much sugar is bad. Too much water can even be a little detrimental, where you feel like you're floating or drowning inside yourself. So, which I've done that. I used to have this gigantic jug, and I would drink like 4 of them a day. And I eventually I was kind of like foggy or floaty is what I would call it. So anyways, growth mindset, it's one of those, there is a spectrum, and thriving on challenge can create a dependency on having challenges, so much that we don't allow ourselves to enjoy the reward. That we feel like, oh, well, I'm not in growth mindset unless I'm always challenging myself. But we also have to allow ourselves to not always be in a challenge, but rather growth mindset allows us to shift into challenges and are an opportunity for growth, so that when a challenge is presented, that instead of us feeling defeated already, feeling exhausted already, feeling like, why is this happening to me? We shift into, instead of challenges are happening to me, we shift to, they are happening for me. God, the universe, anything of that nature, this higher power, is often depicted and represented as a parent. And there's a reason for this, because just like any good parent, if your child asks for something, like, give me the strength to get through this, or allow me to have this, if we just give, which we're currently seeing a lot in this generation, I won't go on my soapbox on that. But if we give, and we never give them the challenges or the opportunity to learn the lessons, to develop the skills, then we just sit here and we're like, just give it to me, just give it to me. And we become spoiled. So to speak. I don't know if I like that term either, but that's the term we use. And rather, a very good parent would say, okay, you want this? Here, let me give you the lesson. Let me give you the opportunity. Because there's this beautiful thing in choice. When we have the choice, when we have the ability to choose yes or no, this direction or this direction, we choose it with confidence, and we confidently go in that direction. But if it's going, okay, here's your one and only choice, often we sit and go, well, that's not what I wanted. Why didn't I get a choice? And we're not fully emotionally all in. So that's a deeper lesson, but I just want to drop that little nugget, because having the opportunities are such a beautiful thing. If you think about any struggle, big pivotal point, like I was just telling you my story, that's only one of them. There are lots of them. Pivotal points in your life where you were at rock bottom. You had to make some type of decision. If you are listening to this and maybe you are in a state where you're in a little bit of comfort, you'll see these quotes where it's like, comfort is your worst enemy, because comfort, we tend to choose comfort over growth. So often it feels like the universe is giving us these challenges and allowing us to hit rock bottom so that we can make the choice and develop the strengths that we need to get to that level, because we probably wouldn't have chosen it from comfort unless we were at rock bottom. I see this all the time, especially in the health industry, as People would go to the doctor and they're like, hey, your cholesterol's a little high or your blood pressure's a little high. Like you should get to the gym and start eating healthier and all these healthy habits. And they tend to ignore it until they get to rock bottom. And it's like, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to like dramatically shorten your life and you're probably not even going to make it the next 5 to 10 years because heart failure, heart attacks and strokes and all of these things are the number one cause of death. It's a lifestyle choice. It is also stress, which we tend to have a lot of. And it also comes back to this. Stress is our mindset and how we deal and cope. So if you have a ton of challenges coming at you and you're like, oh, why me? And you go to the fridge and you start eating, or you just sit and you have this heightened stress mentality about it. Or if you have this growth mindset and going, wow, what an opportunity. Okay, I am preparing myself for this next challenge, this next opportunity for growth. Thank you for this opportunity. I am going to make sure that I have my strength and have my energy. I will continue to eat healthy and do the exercises so that I have the energy to pursue through this challenge, through this opportunity. Wouldn't our stress levels, our heart levels all be so much different if we were to treat our challenges in this mindset? This is growth mindset. So as we now move forward into our activity, first, guys, I need to tell you that change is the only constant. So if we fight it, we're going to be constantly in a fight or flight. This is where most of us are constantly in survival mode. So the benefits of being in growth mindset are increased resilience, enhanced innovation, greater collaboration, higher achievement, and sustained growth. So as we move into our activity, I have 3 questions for you. And you can write these in the chat, which I love when people write them in the chat. 1, it helps boost the algorithm so more people see this. 2, people are going to see it and it's also going to go, oh, wow, me too. I feel this as well. So it's empowering us to look at our challenges and face our challenges. The biggest thing, when I was in university for my undergrad, I laugh because I did like multiple degrees during my undergrad and I felt like my bachelor's was like the end all be all. And anyways, a whole story there. But I studied lots of things and I was studying mindfulness and psychology and I was working with some research studies while I was there. And one of the ladies I was working with, she was doing her PhD in this, which I absolutely love. But she was working with people who were experiencing pain. And as we were looking at mindfulness and what I was just saying, like this fight, this contraction, this tension, and they would try to resist against the pain or the emotions or whatever they were feeling, and the emotions would just keep hitting. And so they were experiencing more pain. But as they allowed themselves to open up and feel the pain, allowed the pain to then move through and past. And guess what? They were nice and open and they were not experiencing nearly as much pain. Most practices now, especially cognitive behavioral therapy and these more mindfulness, holistic based approaches, are telling us that we need to feel the feelings that we are resisting in order to allow them to move through us. This is what we do in hypnotherapy. To allow them to move through, to allow them to be processed, to allow them to be heard, experienced, and then to let them go. And as we do that, we start to open up. We start to move out of contraction and into expansion. And so as we go through these questions, I am inviting you to explore so that you can feel these feelings and allow them to pass through. So reflecting on a moment of hesitation. This is where there's some block, some type of resistance, something that you need to break through. And this might be something that you're experiencing right now. What is it? Something that you're resisting or having hesitation about? Or maybe it's something in the past. So think about when you've hesitated to take a step in your personal or professional life? When you stayed in that comfort zone, what was the situation? What were the thoughts or the beliefs that held you back? And it might be like, well, it wasn't a belief. It's just, this is the fact. This is the truth. But that was your truth. That doesn't mean it's the truth. So beliefs feel like truth unless we really take the time to examine them. All right. How did these beliefs influence your decision making? If you believed, well, yeah, I hear this a lot, like photographers can't be rich, can't be famous. Well, we know that's not true. The starving artist, I hear that one a lot as well. No, not all artists are starving. But if we continue to take on those mentalities. All right. Now, as you're exploring these, you can come back to these. I find what's helpful for me is not always writing them down, but maybe vocally sharing them. And if you have an iPhone, there's a note section and you can hit the little microphone and you can voice to talk or talk to text it out. You can also do this in a Google document and just allow yourself to talk about it. I've even done where it's kind of like a video journal and just set my camera up and I just spoke to it. I do find that it works best if you do the talk to text or you actually write it, because you can go back and read it and then you can ask yourself, what lesson did you really learn? You can see it instead of just hearing it. So we're taking it from here or here and we're allowing it to be in the visual. All right, so question number 2, explore your reaction to challenges. This was something that was new and different for me. When Nova was really little, she was probably about Willow size now. I, of course, was in this not healthy relationship and I had found a Buddhist center and went to this, and I was going pretty regularly. It was really support and anchor. It was community. That's what I really needed. And it was such a positive outlook that it was really helpful during that time. And I would be in blame or complain and people would come up and they're like, oh, how you doing? And I'm like, well, and I was like in my suffering. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going through this right now. And they'd be like, congratulations. And I'll tell you what, when you're in pain and blame and all this other stuff, and someone tells you congratulations, it really was like a shocker. It really stopped me the first time. And I'm like, what in the world? Why would you tell me that? That's horrible. And then eventually it kept happening. And finally I was like, why are they saying this? Can someone please explain this to me? And this is where I really started to learn these concepts that were reinforced as I continued my studies into therapeutic approaches as well. So recall a challenge or obstacle that you faced that seemed insurmountable at the time. When you can't see, you're in the storm and you can't even see your hand in front of you, let alone if there's 2 feet, 3 feet, a mile left of the struggle. You can't even look backwards to see where you started. You were just in the storm and there's no solution. How am I ever going to get out? And ultimately it takes this active resignation of going, I'm just going to give over the struggle. I'm just going to trust. And then suddenly we are out of it before we know it. And we can't even remember really how we got out or what happened. We were in it and now we're not. And we look back and we're like, wow, I got through that. And then after doing that enough times, we really do begin to trust. So isn't it amazing that we get these opportunities, we get those experiences that bring us into trust because we weren't trusting, or we could skip the steps and just start trusting. So recalling a challenge or obstacle that you faced that seemed insurmountable at the time. How did you perceive this challenge? And what beliefs about your abilities or your situation influenced this perception? Looking back, how would you reframe this experience with growth? I think I have a meditation that I want to lead you all through here in a moment as well. All right, let's get through this last question. Assess your achievements or your failures. Consider your most significant achievements and your most impactful failures. What beliefs do you hold about each? And how have these beliefs shaped your view of success and failure? Are there any patterns or reoccurring themes about how you approach achievement and setbacks? I know these are deep and these are loaded, but allowing yourself to first, just feel into it. Sometimes it is hard to put these into words. So if you can just feel it, as I mentioned, allowing these feelings to come through, allowing ourselves to process them. And it can be an unpacking. It can be a peeling back of layers. These are our lessons, and whether you want to believe in Kabbalah, it's your tikkun. In a lot of Eastern, it's your karma. It might be something that is just your lesson that you are here to learn. Your soul lesson that is here for you, of a pattern that you need to break out of. It could just be, this is what you were born into, and this is something that you have to unravel. But I believe that we are here for a purpose, that we are here placed in our families for a purpose, because we have this soul mission, this soul lesson for us to learn. And so, and it's just helpful mentally if we were to say, hey, I'm figuring out what lesson I have to learn in life, and I am here on this journey, kind of like being in a video game. We're just in this beautiful virtual reality where we are here and we have the lessons that we have to learn, and we're approaching it with such optimism and with such vigor and with such empowerment, because we're not allowing ourselves to just get sucked into being human, that we're honoring our soul level. So whether you believe it's just helpful to think this way or you actually believe this, regardless, it is beneficial. All right. So I think I want to lead you through a meditation. I had experienced this meditation a while back, and I was listening to it again yesterday, and I think this is really appropriate. So I'm going to offer up placing into the hands of angels, but you can also use, in an exchange for that, maybe it's placing at the feet of God, maybe it's just offering up to a higher power, but you can change that to however you want to see it or feel it for your beliefs. So allow yourself to close your eyes, and you can bring your hands on your heart, or you can have your palms facing up on your lap. And we're just going to start with 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, open the mouth and go like you're sighing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And we'll tune into the cycle of our breath, feeling your inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, feeling your exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue this and allow yourself to count. And we take this from surface level to coming inside, to experiencing this from the breath. If you're still at that surface level, you can just tune into the coolness and the heat of it coming in and out, feeling that physical sensation. And then we're working our way to experiencing it from the breath. Continue that inhale, exhale, counting the breath, 4 and 4. So they're coming into an even part breath. And I want you to imagine, I invite you to imagine any struggle or problem that you are currently dealing with, whether it is this wall that you keep hitting, if it is a big challenge that is in your life, it is a feeling that you're experiencing, whatever challenge, problem, barrier that is currently in your life. Imagine if you could pull that out of your body and position it in front of you, where it's just hovering out in front of you. And like strands of colors pulling out of your body and continuing to release them out and placing them into this box, into this ball of light, however you want to visualize it. So we're pulling all of this negativity, all of this struggle out of us and placing it in front of us. And we might feel like there's gaps or emptiness within us where those spots were. That's okay. You can imagine yourself breathing in a healing light to heal any of those wounds, allowing ourselves to be okay with having space for all the beauty that we would like to invite in. And as we release this and we place this in front of us, imagine ourselves offering this up and placing it into the hands of your angels, your guides, whatever it is that is of your belief system, that you're handing it over to a higher power. And as you hand that over to them, they receive it as a gift, as a project, as no problem at all. And they are going to shape and mold it and transform it and transmute it so that it is no longer this yuckiness, but rather it is back into its pureness. And they are going to hold on to that as they transform this problem. And you're allowing yourself to trust, moving forward, trusting that this problem has been handed over to a higher power. And the only thing that you can truly do is visualize the end goal of what you want, the life you want, the solution you want, not how to fix it, just what you want the end solution to look like. So take that moment now. You might start to tune in to your third eye or into the center of your forehead, looking up while keeping your eyelids closed, looking up and in as if you're looking into the center of your forehead, and imagining a movie screen. And as you imagine that movie screen, you imagine what it is, the solution that you want, whether it's the life you want to live or the solution to this challenge. We're not worrying about how it's fixed. We just are focused on the end result. See yourself there. See yourself with anyone that else is involved. Notice the surroundings, the environment. And know that this is your goal. This is your job, is just to tune into this as often as you can. Focusing on the positive. Making it available in your mind. While you can continue to trust that the how is being worked out by a higher power. Taking a deep breath. Exhale, release through the mouth. Maybe you take a stretch and open up the heart. So you might take your arms wide. Maybe you take them up and then slowly begin to open your eyes. Allow yourself to trust. It's a beautiful thing as we also expand. So as we wrap this up for today, I offer up, and again, you can take a screenshot of this if you'd like to keep this for yourself, or you can come back to this video. But having a self-reflective journal, it's a beautiful thing to reflect on your day and the mindsets and how you view your day. So a daily journaling practice is a beautiful thing. You can also journal in the morning of your dreams and your goals for the day and just going, this is what I want today to look like, and setting that in motion as far as what your expectations are. Your life becomes as beautiful and big as your tolerance is. So if you tolerate the chaos, and that's what you expect, then that is what you will get. But if you say that I will only tolerate this amount of beauty and amazingness, then this is what you will get. So having this self-reflection and allowing yourself to process and feel those emotions. Practice gratitude daily. There is true science behind this, that gratitude and daily gratitude is the surefire way to bring yourself into a happy state. So daily gratitude practices are beautiful. And in fact, in the mindfulness-based meditation program that I do, it's 4 sessions, so 1 per week. This is one of the activities that we do a daily gratitude practice. Super simple. Getting SMART goals. Oh, I know we've heard this a million times, but it really truly is true. I ask people their goals and they still go back to the old habits of not being specific, not being measurable, not having it achievable, relevant, or time bound. We need to do this with our goals. If we are not taking our goal and sitting down with it for just a moment to do this and to check in with it, then we are not giving it the attention that it needs. Seeking feedback, so talking to a trusted friend, peer, or mentor is extremely helpful. Maybe that's also a therapist. And then embracing lifelong learning. So you might be like me where you might take on a little too much learning because it becomes so important. So it might be one or two things that you're learning at a time, waiting till you finish that to then start the next one if you're like me. And something that I tend to do is I reach out for certifications rather than just browsing YouTube, where I feel like I'm wandering and meandering. The certification programs are great because it choreographs the knowledge so that there is a learning path. It's curated so that there's an end goal, and it normally has actionable steps. But if you're looking for that certification, and I'm not promoting one in any particular, but just saying that that's what works for me. But allow yourself to explore. And normally what I say works best is to set a daily time of learning. For me, it's 20 or 30 minutes once a day. And I have something that I'm going to practice at that specific time. So if I'm taking a course, I'll watch 20 or 30 minutes. Or maybe I'll focus on something that I'm particularly doing. So that works great for me. All right. Next up, first of all, you can type any questions or comments into the chat for anyone else to hear. If you'd like to get the link to sign up for these Friday sessions so that you can continue to tune into them, you can put an L in the chat and I'll get you that link so that you can register so that you get those automated messages that remind you. Not a requirement, but it's definitely helpful. And then if you'd like to book a complimentary call, put a C in the chat. So maybe you are interested in learning more about hypnotherapy. Maybe you're like, hey, Izzy, I just really need some more clarity on the direction that my business is going. Because I'm really lacking it. Could you provide me some clarity in a profitable business? More than happy to jump on a call with you. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at this, that I can do this in 30 minutes now, where it's like, you tell me all of your passions and what your business is about, and I will tell you how to take it to the next level and how to scale that. So I can do that in 30 minutes. I was pretty proud of myself. I did it live in person at a networking event in 10 minutes for someone. And I was like, yeah, I got it. So I'm more than happy to do that for you. I love having those insight conversations. But my hope is that you take it and you implement it, that you really take it to the next level. And that's where today's conversation about mindset is so incredibly important, because you have the clarity, but it's then the mindset that gets the problem. So of those two things, those are the things that we must work on first. All right. So you have your cues. So you can type in that L or that C in the chat. If you needed more work on value work and what's really important to you, type a V in the chat and I will get you over to that person. But yeah, thanks for being here with me today. And I'll see you next week as we continue to dive through the Business Breakthrough series. This will also be a playlist on YouTube. So if you'd like those links to those things, again, type in that L, you'll get all the information. All right. I'll see you next week.